My HOA president knocked on my door and told me my $47,000 pool was no longer mine. She called it community property. So I drained every drop of water and let her explain it to the police. The first knock came on a Tuesday afternoon. The kind of dry, quiet Arizona day where nothing dramatic ever seems like it could happen. I was in the backyard checking the chlorine levels, watching the water ripple in that perfect blue way that still made me proud every time I saw it. 18 months of work sat right in front of me, every tile placed by hand, every pipe run exactly how I designed it. That pool wasn't just a backyard upgrade. It was therapy after a brutal divorce. It was the one thing in my life that felt stable, controlled, finished. Then I heard it. 3 sharp knocks. Not friendly. Not neighborly. Official. I dried my hands and walked through the house, already knowing who it would be. When I opened the door, there she stood, Dolores Pritchard, HOA president, clipboard tucked under her arm like it was a badge of authority. She wore a pastel blazer and that tight, practice smile people use when they think they've cornered you. "Wyatt," she said sweetly, "we need to talk about your pool." I leaned against the door frame. "What about it?" She glanced past me toward the backyard like she was inspecting property she already owned. Under Section 7, Paragraph 12 of the revised CC and RS, any private amenity exceeding $25,000 in value qualifies as shared community property. I blinked. "Excuse me. Your pool," she continued calmly, tapping her clipboard, "is now classified as a community asset. ULL need to provide access to residents on a rotating schedule." I actually laughed. "This is my backyard." "Not anymore," she replied. "You have 30 days to comply. After that, fines begin." And just like that, my private sanctuary became her next power play. The fines didn't start quietly. They started like a countdown. On day 31, I opened my front door and found the notice taped dead center. Bright orange paper like I committed a crime. Non-compliance penalty, $500 per day. No greeting. No warning. Just a total at the bottom already ticking upward in bold print. $500. Every single day. I stood there on my porch reading it twice. Then a third time. Just to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding the absurdity. According to Dolores. Because I refused to schedule community access to my own backyard pool. I now owed the HOA the price of a small vacation every 24 hours. By the end of the first week, the balance had already hit $3,500. She didn't miss a day. Like clockwork, a new violation update appeared in my email each morning at 8:02 a.m. The subject lines felt smug. Outstanding balance reminder. Final notice before escalation. Intent to place lien. Lien. That word changes the temperature in your body. It's no longer petty. It's no longer just annoying. It's threatening your home. Then she escalated publicly. Dolores posted in the neighborhood Facebook group, framing me as the unreasonable one. "We encourage all residents to respect community guidelines. Shared amenities strengthen property values." She never used my name directly, but everyone knew who she meant. The comments split fast. Some neighbors sided with her, quoting rules they never actually read. Others messaged me privately saying it felt wrong, but they didn't want trouble. That was her strategy. Isolation. She wanted me stressed enough, embarrassed enough, financially squeezed enough to just give in and open the gate. But what she didn't realize was simple. Engineers don't panic when something breaks. We start documenting it. By the second week of fines, I stopped arguing and started thinking. Dolores expected me to fight her in court, to file motions, to drag it out until I either ran out of money or patience. That's how people like her win. They rely on exhaustion. They count on you breaking before they do. So instead of pushing back louder, I did something quieter. I complied. At least, on paper. If she wanted the pool classified as community property, then I would treat it exactly like disputed property. No gray area. No partial access. No compromise. If I couldn't control who used it, then nobody would. Saturday morning at 8 a.m., a commercial drainage truck pulled into my driveway. Big industrial pump. Thick hoses. loud enough to wake up half the block. I had the proper permits for water discharge because I do things correctly. Always have. Neighbors started gathering within minutes. Coffee cups in hand. Phones out. Curious faces watching the setup. Dolores arrived 15 minutes later. Heels clicking across the pavement like she was arriving at a parade thrown in her honor. She looked confused at first, then irritated. "What is this?" she demanded. I handed her a printed copy of her own notice. "You said it as community property. I can maintain private property that isn't legally mine. So I am relinquishing it." Her face changed. Just slightly. Then the pump roared to life. Water surged out of the hose in a powerful stream, rushing toward the storm drain. 20,000 gallons began disappearing in front of everyone. The bright blue surface that had been the pride of my backyard started sinking inch by inch. Gasps spread through the crowd. I stood there calmly, arms folded. While the water level dropped. She wanted community property, so I gave her an empty one. Dolores didn't expect the crowd. She definitely didn't expect the police. About halfway through the draining, someone, probably one of her loyal defenders, called non-emergency services claiming I was illegally dumping hazardous water. Within 20 minutes, a patrol car rolled slowly into the cul-de-sac. Lights off but presence very visible. The neighborhood got even quieter. 2 officers stepped out. Calm, professional, already slightly tired of whatever HOA drama they'd been pulled into. One of them approached me first. "Sir, we received a complaint about improper discharge." I handed him the county permit ID printed that morning. Highlighted. Signed. Time-stamped. Fully permitted. Residential pool drainage to storm system. Chlorine neutralized. You're welcome to test it. He glanced over the paperwork. Nodded once. Then looked at the pump setup. Everything appears compliant. Behind him, Dolores was already talking fast. Animated. Gesturing toward the pool like I was committing some kind of environmental crime. Yes, destroying community property. She snapped. Yes, acting in bad faith. The second officer turned toward her. "Ma'am, is this your pool?" It's HOA property under revised section 7. She insisted. The officer looked back at me. "Sir, I own the home. I paid for the pool." She asked the one who declared it community property. There was a long pause. Then the officer did something simple but devastating. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "if you're reclaiming ownership, do you have documentation showing the HOA paid for construction?" Dolores opened her mouth, closed it. For the first time since this started, she didn't have a clipboard answer ready. And suddenly, she wasn't explaining my actions anymore. She was explaining hers. What happened after the police left is what actually ended her. Because draining the pool wasn't the real move. It was the spotlight. While the water was disappearing, something else was happening quietly behind the scenes. For weeks, I had been collecting documents, financial records, meeting minutes, amendment filings, the so-called Section 7 revision she used against me. It had never been voted on properly. No homeowner notice. No recorded board majority. Just a document she filed as if it were legitimate. And once the neighborhood saw her stumble in front of police, people got brave. That same weekend, I started knocking on doors, not angry, not dramatic, calm, prepared. I showed them the paperwork. I showed them the financial statements that didn't add up. Thousands labeled as administrative supplies, payments to vendors that didn't exist in state records. By Monday night, I had 32 signatures, 32 homeowners demanding a special meeting and board review. Under Arizona law, that forced an official vote. The emergency meeting was packed. No empty folding chairs. No quiet whispers. Just residents who suddenly realized they had more power than they thought. When I projected the financial discrepancies onto the clubhouse wall, the mood shifted from curiosity to outrage. One board member resigned on the spot. Another claimed he hadn't reviewed the details. Dolores tried to speak, but her voice shook for the first time. The vote to dissolve the board wasn't close. It was overwhelming. Within a month, she stepped down. For personal reasons. An audit followed. The investigation is still ongoing. In my pool, I refilled it the next weekend. But here's the twist. Every 4th of July, I open it voluntarily to the neighborhood. Turns out when people are invited instead of forced, they actually respect it. And petty power only survives in the dark. Once the lights turn on, it drowns fast. If you enjoy stories about standing up to petty power and winning smart, hit subscribe and join the community. More HOA showdowns coming next.